What's up, guys? Spencer with the Fantasy Fanatics. I'm here with Drew. How are you doing?
I'm good, man. How are you?
I'm pretty good.
Good to be back.
I know it's already almost week 3.
Yeah, I came back.
Time.
I don't even know if I was there before the last preseason game or right after it, before week 1. But it's been like 2 weeks, and we're week 3 already.
And we're already. It's all Justin Fields' time.
It's already Justin Fields' time.
Are you?
Yeah, I'm excited, but Matt Nagy's in the best spot he could be in because he gave his promise to Andy Dalton. He played his 2 games, 1.5. He got hurt. So he gets to test out his new toy in Justin Fields. If Justin struggles, he could put Andy back in when Andy's healthy and say, he's just not ready. He's a rookie. Don't blame me. And if he does really well, he could say, look, we got to ride the hot hand, because he's winning us ball games. We got to go with him. And Andy, I gave you my word. You got your starting. It's not my fault you got hurt. I mean, he wouldn't say that, but, it's not his fault that Andy got hurt. If he didn't get hurt, he'd be the starter week 3. And you just kind of go from there. But if he struggles, Andy will be back in week 5, week 6, whenever he's healthy. But
yeah, I was going to ask you what's the kind of timetable you're hearing around the whole organization, or is there?
I've seen people talk 3 weeks. I've seen people say he's week to week. I've seen people say I don't think he's playing again, not this year, but he's not starting again this year because they think that this is just a mirage, that Andy's just the media's just being told, Andy will be our guy. I think he's not. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't play again this year. He'll be QB2 when he comes back, I believe. But I've heard 3-4 weeks. I've heard week to week. He'll be back. He just might not be the starter.
And Fields didn't look great against the Bengals when he came in. I mean, he looked okay, but not the kind of fire we were expected to see from him.
27.7 passer rating.
Is that QBR or just passer rating?
Just passer rating. I didn't check out his QBR, but I'm sure it was a little bit higher because they rate things a little bit differently. I saw Dan Orlowski kind of gave him credit and said that, 11 of his 13 throws were good. Allen Robinson missed a touchdown. Darnell Mooney missed a big play. The interception was not good, but it was he was tricked. I don't know. We'll see. I mean, I wasn't impressed with him, but I wasn't like, oh, wow, this was such a bad decision. I wasn't, he was 6 for 13 and 60 yards. I wasn't upset with his performance. He was okay.
And that QBR is 4.4.
Yeah. So, well, I was wrong then. You guys can hound me on social media. I was wrong. I thought it would have been higher, but I was thinking like 30, but 4.4. Yeah. And look at Andy Dalton's numbers: 9 for 11, 56 yards, 1 touchdown. But after that first drive, the team kind of fell apart.
And I was watching; he was feeding Darnell Mooney before he left too. I think Darnell Mooney had like 4 or 5 targets before Andy Dalton left.
Yeah, and Andy started running the ball. When he was running the ball, I was getting flashbacks to Jay Cutler when he'd get a couple of runs here and there because he's not super fast, but he's just getting those yards. So I was impressed with that. I'll be honest with you, I was impressed with Andy Dalton this week.
So Justin Fields is your guy, though, even when Andy's healthy?
Justin is my quarterback. I think Justin is the guy going forward. But if he struggles, Andy Dalton will be back. I gained a lot of respect for Andy Dalton this weekend. And I think a lot of Bears fans did.
And what about David Montgomery? I think he's top 5 in rushing so far. This game wasn't as good as week 1. But week 1, he looked good against a real tough defensive front, too.
That's why I was surprised. But they didn't run the ball. He got 20 carries, but they didn't run the ball as well as I thought they would. Then when Justin came in, he was moving a little bit. But, Andy Dalton might have been the best rusher on the Bears, even though he only got 2 carries, I believe, for maybe 25 yards. I don't know if it was exactly that. But, he was a pretty good rusher. Obviously, I'm kidding. He wasn't the best rusher. But he looked good running the ball. Obviously, Justin's levels above him. He's in a different stratosphere when he's running. And David Montgomery is the best runner on the team overall. But I was definitely highly impressed with Andy, and I wish David got more yards, to help out those fantasy people. But no, he played well. He did his job, and I was impressed with him. I like him a lot.
Yeah, I have Montgomery in a few leagues, and I was a little worried about Damian Williams coming into the season. I don't think I'm as worried as I was before. I
but
mean,
these.
I mean, Damian Williams is. We kind of talked about that before, and you said that you expected to see, David Montgomery get 20 carries and then Damian around that 6 range.
Yeah, I did, and so this is another thing I don't like is Matt Nagy's play calling. He had Damian Williams out there. He tried doing some weird trickery with Justin Fields, and I'm like, you got your rookie quarterback in here, and you're trying to do a trick play. You're doing a 2-point conversion at the 50-yard line. I'm like, and he gets these trickery. He gets cute with the play calling. The first quarter, it's like he just doesn't want to be a play caller halfway through the game. He has a good first quarter, and then it just goes downhill, and he gets cute. He looks terrible. But I think if Bill Lazor was calling plays, I think this weekend would be more exciting. I think the Browns are probably going to run through the Bears. But if Bill Lazor was calling plays, I think the offense would look way better than it did.
You don't think they have a chance against the Browns?
I think they're going to lose the game. I'll just say that.
No Justin Fields mania?
I think Justin's going to play way better. He's going to have a better QBR and hopefully a better passer rating. I think it's going to be closer than people think. I know they're a -7 in the betting for their spread. The Browns are -7 on them. So I don't know. I don't think it's going to be a 7-point game. I could see it being around a 10-point game, but I think it'll be close for a little bit, and then Baker and the Browns are just going to take it. And their defense is way better than the Bengals. And you saw the Bears offense struggle with the Bengals defense. Just imagine with the Browns defense with Myles Garrett and the secondary they have, it's going to be a rough game for Justin Fields. That's a really tough first game. The Lions would have been way better.
And then Allen Robinson has kind of been struggling. I mean, he caught a touchdown, but he's not racking up the catches and yards like he usually does. I don't remember what he had in week 1, but he was being guarded by Jalen Ramsey.
So when I was first on the show, I said I would take I would take Allen Robinson over Devontae Adams.
Yeah.
Let me first clarify that. I was on the spot. All right, Nathaniel put me on the spot. Devontae Adams has had a better season so far. He had a better game against the Lions. Allen's still my guy. He dropped that touchdown, and that touchdown drop will not happen again. I guarantee you he won't drop another touchdown again, especially in that situation. It was a tough catch. He has struggled so far this year, but they played against 2 really good defenses, and he hasn't had a great quarterback. But then again, Andy played well for that 1-2 drives. He had that touchdown in the first series. Allen got the touchdown, and I think the more we see Justin Fields, the more we're going to see Allen Robinson because he's such a safety blanket for that team. Mitch used him so much. Foles used him so much. He's a safety blanket. Even when Chase Daniel a couple years ago, when he came in for, I think, 3 or 4 games, he ended up playing with the team. Allen was a safety blanket. So I think he's going to get more targets. I know he got a lot of targets against the Rams, and his targets number went down against the Bengals. But I think he's going to be used a lot this week, especially if the Bears get down early.
For fantasy purposes, though, with Justin Fields being in, does that help or hurt? You said you think it helps Allen Robinson, but what about Darnell Mooney?
And I think it's going to hurt Darnell Mooney because I think if they get behind early, he's going to go to the veteran receiver. So I would sit Darnell Mooney and start Allen Robinson. That is my bold prediction for the week.
What about David Montgomery?
I would play David Montgomery. He's going to play your stud.
So you still think he gets fed?
I think he's going to get fed. I bet you it's under 20 carries. I bet you it's around 15. But if they get up earlier, they're trying to control the clock. He's going to get a lot of carries. And I think Justin's going to get about 5 to 6 carries on his own. And then he'll probably have to scramble a couple times. I think they're going to do a lot of read options, some RPO plays. So David and Justin are going to have a pretty tiresome day. They're going to be used a lot. And I'm just excited to see. I mean, I want my team to win every week, and I know I'm not picking them this week. But I still believe they have a little chance. They have a chance. That's why they're playing the game.
I think as a fan, this is what I wanted Josh Allen's rookie year, is I would rather see, Justin Fields look good and, the team win maybe 4 or 5 games than, Justin Fields look kind of mediocre and the team win, go to the playoffs or something and get bounced in the wild card round.
Yeah, I mean, the only issue with the Bears is they don't have a first-round pick this year. So the worse they do, the better the Giants get. And let's flip to the Giants real quick. What are they doing at quarterback next year? They got 2 more years if they take the 5th-year option. 2 more years with Daniel Jones. I know it's only 2 weeks into his 3rd season. Do they draft a quarterback next year? Is Sam Howell going to the New York Giants?
I still think he will be a Detroit Lion or maybe a Houston Texan, especially with the Tyrod injury. But Daniel Jones looked kind of good week 2. I know he shows flashes sometimes.
I made a tweet. It was a joke tweet. I said last year he was too fast for his body. This year he's too fast for linebackers. Because he fell over on that night game when he was running. I think it was against the Eagles.
Against the Eagles where he tripped on that one.
Said last year he was too fast for his body. This year he's too fast for linebackers. And I said, we'll see what next year brings. Maybe I don't know. He got a little. It seems like he got his feet under him. And then Taylor Heineke, he looked. He looked. His QBR isn't perfect there, but he looked pretty. He looked better than I thought. Daniel Jones, he looked pretty good statistically. He had a good game. He had a couple rushing touchdowns with just 1 rushing touchdown. So a couple touchdowns. He should have had an extra passing touchdown, and I believe he should have had an extra rushing touchdown. I believe that was taken away from him too, right?
Yeah, the rushing touchdown was taken back, and the Darius Slayton drop.
So he should have had 4 touchdowns, and they should have won that game. The offsides, oh my God. I really feel for a kicker that misses a game-winning kick as a Bears fan, but I also feel for the team loses that. I don't feel for kicker's fault, but Cody Parkey. But I feel for the fans, and then seeing them, I thought the game was over, and then I see that there's a flag, and I'm like, you got to be kidding me. I'm like, the Giants are going to get not screwed. He was offsides, but I'm like, the Giants, Washington's going to get a second run at this, and they make the kick. It's unbelievable.
What's worse for the player, the defensive tackle who jumped offsides, or the kicker who misses game-winning field goal?
I think it has to be the defensive tackle that was offsides.
Yeah, because field goals, kickers miss kind of frequently, but I mean you don't see every day where your defensive tackle's trying to get a jump on the ball and then just jumps off sides.
I know, because he's when you're trying to block kick, you're figuring, hey, they're going to make this kick, we're going to lose the game. I have to jump and get it. He jumps off sides, goes a little too quick. They miss the kick, and it's like, oh my God, he knew right away he was off, and he was looking for the flag, and it was ugly. I felt bad I have a couple Giant fan friends, and I just felt for them. I was like, I'm not going to make any jokes because the Bears have lost off kicks. In Mitch's career, not to bring Mitch up so much, but I guess in the Matt Nagy era, they have lost like 3 or 4 games off of kicks. And then this first game, the Packers game, where they blew that 20-3 lead or whatever it was, 20-0 against the Packers, week 1, 2018, Fuller had a pick 6 that he dropped, and then they missed Berkey missed a kick against Miami. He missed 4 kicks against Detroit. They won that game, though. And then the double doink, I think he missed like 11 kicks that year. That's crazy. And the next year they had a guy of the name Eddie Pinheiro who ended up getting hurt, and that's why they have Santos now. But he missed a couple game-winning kicks too. So it just goes to show you that kickers mean so much in this league. A lot of kickers are the difference between an 8-8 season and a 10-6 season. Even if it's not a game-winning kick, earlier in the game they miss a kick and you end up losing by 2.
Being a kicker's got to be so rough.
It is, because that's all you do. It's you don't have a second job. You just kick the ball, and you're called on and expected to make every single kick. And you are either the hero of your city or your public enemy number 1, and you do not want to show your face for the next week.
It's kind of like I always say offensive linemen are kind of, whenever you hear their name, it's kind of, they're never really appreciated until they're never appreciated. And then the second that they mess up, like if you allow 1 sack to a guy, you're just going to get, social media is just going to bury you. 59 reps, you block the guy 58 times, and then 1 time you let up a sack.
1 time. Charles Leno got a lot of that from Bears fans, because there's a lot of times that quarterback. He's had so many quarterbacks to block for because the Bears seem like they have a new quarterback every week. But he missed a lot. Like a lot of times his quarterbacks were getting sacked. He was just looking around, and it's kind of ridiculous when he got a lot of heat, and then his girlfriend at the time was fighting with fans, sticking up for him, and it was just one big mess. Now he's in Washington, oddly enough, since we're talking about them, but he was one of those guys that didn't get credit when he did really well. But when he missed blocks, and he was a left tackle, so he's the most important lineman out there for a right-handed passer, and he would get a lot of crap on social media. But I always thought he was a solid left tackle. He was, I wouldn't say inconsistent. He was about 80% of the time solid, but it's that 20% that turns the fans against you.
I bet they would love to have him now. I mean,
Injuries,
I don't know how Jason Peters played week 2, but
I would like to have.
He didn't look great week 1 when I watched him closely. Week 2, I didn't really watch him closely. I kind of had that game on in the third TV. I was watching the Bills game, but I mean,
of course, you got to watch your team.
Of course.
Let's talk Josh in a sec. When we're done with Jason, let's talk Josh.
Love Josh, but Josh is struggling.
I tweeted out today, said I am a Josh Allen truther, and I will defend him.
I saw that.
Lines. Josh Allen is amazing. So this is what I believe. They should not have paid him yet. They should have waited to give him $258 million. If they would have waited till next season, they could have got him maybe a little cheaper. If he had a great year, they might have spent a little more. Not too much more, but maybe it was 260, 262. I don't know. I mean, if he struggles this year, you can't get rid of him, and you're not going to obviously, they wouldn't bench him next year, 2 years. If they would not go for a different quarterback because they paid him so much money. It's not going to be like a Carson Wentz situation where they draft, some guy next year and they see what happens. Obviously, the Jalen Hurts situation, he's not that bad. He's struggled. I believe he's got a 79 passer rating right now for the season. I think he's way better than people are making him out to be. Well, look at the numbers. They're 17 for 33. That's rough. I believe it's like a 56 completion percentage right now overall.
Yeah, but people are overreacted saying, saying,
100%.
this guy, he looks bad. Why did you pay him? He stinks. He regressed. And it's been 2 weeks and he's faced, Xavier Howard and Byron Jones on the Miami defense. And then he faced the Steelers, who have TJ Watt, Melvin Ingram, Cam Hayward on the defensive line, and Joe Hayden.
Let's not act like he played 2 slouch teams. He played against 2 great defenses. You got to give him time. He only played he only had 26 throws in preseason, which is a decent amount for a starter. But he's got a couple new weapons. Give him time. If we're talking 6-7 weeks down the line and he's still struggling, then we're like, okay, maybe Buffalo paid him too much. They got to figure something out with him. Give him another year before they really start panicking. But if he's playing well, a couple weeks from now, people are going to be deleting their tweets. They're going to get rid of the receipts. They're going to act like nothing ever happened, like he was this great quarterback from the start. I'm still in on Josh Allen. I'm going to be in on Josh Allen until he is no longer in the league, which could be 15 years from now.
Yes. Yeah, I am right with you.
I'm a Josh Allen truther. And look, I'm a big Mitch guy. But I'm not calling for Mitch to come in. I saw a lot of tweets. Put Trubisky in, put the MVP in. When it was a 7-point game last week, or it was a 10-point game, then they kicked the field goal to make it a 7-point game against the Steelers. I was like, come on, guys. I said, it's week 1. Give the guy. He's not even in midseason form yet. Let's give him a little bit. Let's let him get to midseason form. When it's week 6, week 7, if we're still having this conversation, we got to figure something out for him and try to make it. I don't know what the situation is with Brian Dable. If he's struggling, like in week 6, week 7, they're going to have to figure something out. I think their rushing game has struggled. Obviously, Devin Singletary and Zach Moss had great games. But I think their rushing game has struggled, and I think that's what hurt them against the Steelers. Because they didn't blitz a lot. They didn't get those openings to them.
Yeah, that's kind of been their kryptonite ever since Josh Allen started playing like, crazy MVP Josh Allen is they don't have a running game at all. I mean, Josh Allen, I think it was against the Seahawks last year where I don't think they called one run in the first half. It was crazy. It wasn't one run in the first half to a running back.
Yeah, that's not good. And that's what was happening with Matt Nagy with the Bears is they weren't running the ball well. And then they're putting it all on Mitch's or Nick Foles' shoulder, and then they're like wondering, well, when everyone's dropping in coverage and they know you're not going to run the ball and they're not stacking the box, that's the difference between these great teams and these mediocre teams. Is the great teams run the football well, the mediocre teams don't, and that's why the Bears went 8-8 last year and fell from 5-1 because they abandoned the run too quickly, and then when they tried to run a little bit more, they won 3 of their last 4 games. Even though they got blown out by the Packers, they did control the game from time-wise for the first 3 quarters until they got destroyed in the fourth quarter on week 17. But and I don't even want to talk about the wild card game. That was just terrible. But, I don't know. I think running the ball is so important. Everyone talks about the quarterback, but you need to have 1 to 2 solid running backs if you're going to be a Super Bowl contender, especially in this league. And then you look at Kansas City's defense has struggled the first 2 weeks. If you could run the ball on a team like Kansas City in the playoffs in the cold, it's going to mean a lot, especially when you play in Buffalo. It gets cold in Western New York. You need to run the football.
Yeah. I mean, if they had somebody like David Montgomery, he won't get 20 touches per game, but he'll get, 10 to 15. He'll be a workworkhorse in Buffalo.
He'll be meaningful touches too.
Oh my goodness! If we had somebody like that, I love David Montgomery. I love David Montgomery.
Happy to have him.
I feel like Chicago could use him better, though.
Oh, 100%. I think that's why I would love a new coach next year, because I don't think they have the right coach. David Wannstedt, and I'm not saying I agree with him, but I'm also a Mitch truther. He said that if he had the Bears 2018 defense, which was a stupid comment because they won the division in 2018. So he acts like if he had the 2018 team, he'd make the playoffs every year, which that team made the playoffs by a significant amount, by I believe 4 games or 3, something like that. So obviously, yes, you would make the playoffs with them. But he said, give me David Montgomery, give me Mitch Trubisky in that 2018 defense, and I'll make the playoffs every year. There's a good chance there. But I think they have not used Montgomery well at all. I think they're getting better with him, but he's a guy that should be getting at least 15 touches a game. You can use him in the backfield on wheel routes, and you can use him as a check down.
I was going to say that they need to start getting him more involved with the passing game. I don't know if I'm misjudging here, but I think he could be more utilized as a pass catcher, and I think that's only going to get worse when Tariq Cohen comes back.
Yes, it will get worse because Tariq's going to get all those wheel routes and check down. I just hope
Tariq Cohen be the 2-minute offense guy too.
That's a tough one because we got to see how he bounces back. I don't know. I would assume he's going to get a lot more time on the field than people are expecting. I bet you it's 50-50. If not, Tariq's going to get more because Matt Nagy loves Tariq Cohen. And until Bill Lazor took over his play calling, well, not last year because he was hurt, but the year before, Tariq Cohen was getting all these carries and stuff. He's not that running back that's going to go in between the tackles like David Montgomery. He's a guy that is an outside guy that needs to get the ball thrown to him. He's a receiving back. He's not your power back. And I think when they got Damian Williams, they were going to try to do, at least my understanding was they were going to try to use him like Tariq Cohen. And they have not used him at all. It's almost like he's not even on the team.
Yeah.
It's like when they got Mike Davis and didn't use him.
I want to go back to something you said. You think it might be a 50-50 split?
Yes, because he loves him so much. Matt Nagy loves using Tariq Cohen so much where I could see him just getting just being out there 50% of the time, not getting all these carries, but he's going to be out there. And I bet you he's thrown to a lot more. And you could really use Tariq Cohen and Justin Fields so well together in RPOs and screen passes. He's great for a check down. but he is not your every down running back. When you're winning the game and need to milk the clock, you do not give the ball to Tariq Cohen. You give the ball to David Montgomery. You put the ball in between the tackles. You get your 3 to 4 yards each carry, and you win that football game. That's a mistake that they have given. The Bears cannot close games. They almost blew that game against the Bengals. They were so close. They were up 20-3. It finishes 2017. That interception by Fields was terrible interception, inexcusable. People are giving him an excuse for it. I'll say, look, it was his first real test. It was he got tricked, is what they said. The linebacker looked like he was going to blitz, and then he went into coverage or something like that. But you got to make a better decision, especially when you were that backed up in your own red zone. He gave them basically red zone position, was almost a pick six. And I would have tweeted, Mitch Trubisky's never thrown a pick six, just to mess with people, especially during games, because you know how people get. But I love Justin, and you're not going to see me going out burying him and saying he's bad. And I said the same thing about Andy Dalton. He's a nice guy. I'm not going to go out and say he sucks and say, oh, bench him. Should Justin start? Should he be starting from week 1? I believe so. But I am not going to judge Justin off his rookie year. I'm going to wait till year 2 before giving a full assessment. I always throw the year away if they struggle. If they do well the rookie year, I build off that and say, okay, year 2 is going to be better. Like Justin Herbert, okay, he's going to be good. But a guy that struggles his rookie year, like a Peyton Manning, situation like that, I throw away their rookie year and say, all right, year 2, same offense. It's time to go. It's time to roll and see what you got.
Yeah, I was just looking on my phone. Broncos head coach Vic Fangio spoke with Urban Meyer after the game, and he said Urban Meyer told him that playing NFL teams every week feels like playing Alabama every week. Just thought that was super.
That's good to say, because Urban Meyer, I was talking to someone earlier, and I said, I don't know why he came out of retirement, first off. And number 2, he chose the worst team to coach. It's not like he's going into a Green Bay or something where you have a veteran quarterback, a veteran team. Green Bay has gotten younger over the years, but a veteran team, and you could go in and just try to win a championship like what Gary Kubiak did with the Broncos a couple years back, 2015. You don't get a guy like him for a young team because he's not going to be there for a long time. He's not a Joe Brady, who's only 31, by the way. He's not a Joe Brady who's going to be with the team for 15 years if they're successful. Obviously, you don't see a coach there for that long. It's rare to see a Pete Carroll, a Bill Belichick, a Mike Tomlin. You don't see that. That's why they're the good teams and the bad teams, because the bad teams get new coaches every 3-4 years, and the good teams have their coach set up. But if you get a guy like Joe Brady, you get a guy, some of these young guys, a Matt Nagy, in a sense, because he is still a very young guy, you can have success for 15 to 20 years with the same group.
Yeah, I don't think he'll last. If he even makes it through the season, there's no way he stays for another. I just don't see him wanting to rebuild, wanting to go through that hassle.
I didn't believe, like, when he signed there, I couldn't believe it. I was like, what is this guy doing? I said he was retired. And then I'm like, well, Jacksonville, it's not like he's playing in the cold every week. So it's not like he's going to Buffalo or Chicago. So it's not like, that's okay. But he's not going to a good team. It's not like he was going to Miami, who's a solid team.
I think Trevor Lawrence is like maybe one of the only reasons he went there.
I think it's the only reason, because he hasn't found success at the level that he would like to have found success at. Everyone wants to win a Super Bowl for the majority. Lincoln Riley says he doesn't, but he does. He'll be in the NFL someday, by the way. But I think Urban Meyer wanted to find success in the NFL, and I thought maybe he thought this was the right spot to do it with Trevor Lawrence, but I don't think he's going to stick around long enough to see Trevor Lawrence's rookie deal go. I don't think he's going to be here for the 4 years of his rookie deal. I bet you if he goes through next year, he's done.
I don't even think he'll be around long enough to get the number 1 pick in the draft, because they finished, 2-15 this year.
He might be out by Thanksgiving, and not him getting fired just on his own saying, all right, I don't need this.
You think he's a candidate for that USC job that opened up? I know there's been a lot of
Does he
people.
want to go back to college is the question, though. Is he going to go back and coach college football, or is he going to just take the money and run? I don't know what his contract was this year, but I don't see him coming out for a cheap amount. If he's given a big amount, maybe he would go there, but I don't see him going from such a good spot as an NFL coach, even though he's embarrassing himself the first 2 weeks and the team's embarrassing themselves. I don't see him going back to college. It's just something that would surprise me, especially that he was done with football and then he came back. I know he got the itch for it again, but it was not a good spot for him. He should have gone back to college to begin with. Or
I was watching the Jacksonville game. I think it was week 1. And there was like a minute or two on the clock, maybe a minute. And, they call 3 straight pass plays that are incompletions. And then they punt the ball away. And it's kind of just situational football. If he was at Ohio State, 20-yard pass, 30-yard pass, 20-yard pass, bang, you're at the 10. But no, this is like the NFL. It's a situational football that I don't think, that's caught up with him. I don't know if it will.
Yes, and it's because the game changes so much, even in 2 years. The game from 2018, 2017 is so different than today in 2021. In college in the NFL, it's hard to compare the two. I know you can't because it's the same sport, but everything's different. Situations are different. You're playing the best of the best. Everyone in the NFL is good. They might not be better than their opponent, but everyone's good.
They were all stars in college.
Yes. Yeah. So you get a situation like that, you're playing better than Alabama each week. And it's a tough matchup. And the reason why he's saying Alabama is because all these teams get blown out and he's embarrassed in himself. I think he's out after this year. Maybe he goes for the job. Maybe he just says, all right, I'm going to go sit on a beach somewhere and watch either them just implode by themselves or maybe the Jaguars turn it around at some point. I think they need the right coach, though.
I don't know if you're a betting man, if you bet on any football.
I'm a betting man.
But the Cardinals line is -7.5 in Jacksonville. I think Cardinals beat them by 28.
It's probably a -110 for the so 110 to 100. I might put some money on that. Did you see there was a guy that had I believe $25-$26 parlay for all 16 games this week, and it went down to Detroit.
To the Lions game. He had the Lions, and he couldn't cash out because I think it was like a free FanDuel bet.
Yeah, and then I saw that they were going to give him like $100K or something because he couldn't cash out, but they wanted to, give it to him because it was, I don't know why, maybe because it was good publicity, and now people are like, oh my God, I'm going to start doing that, and they're going to get all these suckers money because a parlay is a sucker's bet. So every week they're going to get, even if it's just $2 to $5 from people each week, you're going to get, thousands of people doing that each week for a couple weeks and being like, hey, let me just throw 5, 10, 15 games, in there, or I'll mix it with college games and hopefully win something. And, you get 1,000 people each week, even just 1,000, you'll get more. But even that's $5,000 if they're putting 5 each. Some people put 20, 25. So it's very smart to do something like that. I know you don't give out free. You should never give out free money unless it's one of those things where it's like free play where you're going to use it with them. But it was very interesting. I love stories like that. I was rooting for the Lions because I don't like Green Bay, but I also thought it'd be a really cool story. I would have cashed out.
I know FanDuel was worried. I mean, they got to be like sick to their stomach because they got to be like, oh my gosh, this guy's about to win $250K off of us.
Yeah, it's one of those things where it's like deal or no deal. When you get down to that last thing where it's like they're almost trying to buy you out with the cash out, even though it doesn't pop up like, hey, do you want to cash out? But when the option's there, it's like deal or no deal, where they're like, okay, like this is a lot of money we're going to give this guy. Would you like to cash out now? Because you never know. I mean, it's Detroit. Are they going to upset? I would much rather cash out and have to live with, oh my God, I'm short, how much money I could have, gotten than risk it, then run with it. But then again, you're thinking like, well, we already got 15 games in. Why not run with it? So, but I think because he's getting like $100K given to him or something like that, I think he won either way.
I was looking. I saw this earlier in the year. It was. I don't know if you watch much baseball, but it
I did.
was two or three friends. Went in on a bet that Otani wins the AL MVP and DeGrom wins the NL MVP, and I think it's like they put $400 down on it to win. I don't know if each of them win 500K or if it's 500K in general. But I know Sportsbook back in, I think it was June, when those guys were, yeah, they were trying to buy it from them. And they were like, nah. And now DeGrom got hurt, and now that ticket's worthless.
Well, people were saying, I kept seeing in the comments, I think I saw it on Instagram, people were like, take the thing and then put the same amount of money in. Take the bet, like take them, they'll buy your ticket off you, and then just put that same bet in and save some of that money. And I was like, well, do you not understand odds? Because the odds are, because they were favored at that point then.
Yeah.
But yeah, I don't know. See, it's hard because hindsight's 2020. And we can sit here as armchair bettors and say, oh, I would have given that to him. But I don't know if I would. I mean, I'm the guy that just put money down, to get Justin Herbert as league MVP. And if someone said, hey, I'll give you half of what you'd win, I'm like, well, maybe I want to ride it out. But I only put 50, so maybe I wouldn't. But if I put like 500, I might sit there and try to ride it out to get a couple K. But yeah, that betting is so tough because you're in it and there's an adrenaline rush, and it's hard to just be like, yeah, I'll give it up, because it's the adrenaline rush is crazy, man.
Back to that guy who had the 16 game parlay. Why would you even put money on the Lions? I mean, what are you doing there?
I don't know. Maybe he thought, Green Bay did so poorly week 1 that they'll do poorly week 2.
Do you know how sick that guy had to be going into that game? It's kind of like,
I could only imagine. I would be so nervous. I'm assuming he works. If I was going to work that day, I would just be so out of it. I'd be so nervous, nervous like I was playing my first NFL game or something, like he's playing his first NFL game and he's like, oh my God, the nerves. And then they got blown out in the second. They didn't even score a single point in the second half. So it went from 17-14 to what, 35-14? Or 17, my bad. Yeah, 35-17. Unbelievable.
He's got to be at halftime like dancing. Like, this guy is about to be rich. He's about to say, you know what? Screw all of you. I shouldn't have cashed out. And I'm about to get a bag.
Is I didn't know that he couldn't cash out, because I was thinking cash out now, take the money, and then just be happy, whatever. Because I had a feeling, I'm like, I don't know if they're going to win this game. And I was like, if they win the game, live with that regret, be fine. Because now you could, you're playing with house money going forward. He was playing with house money to begin with $25, $26 just given to him on a free play. But you're playing with house money going forward. Just go with it. And then obviously he can't cash out. And then the second half just goes crazy. I bet you Aaron Rodgers saw it on his phone and was like, oh, this guy thinks he's getting money off of me, and just went crazy. That has to be it. Not like he wanted to win or anything. It has to be the bet.
Do you hate Aaron Rodgers?
No, I do not hate Aaron Rodgers. I do not like him on the field, but I think I watch him on the Pat McAfee show. Not to shout out a different show, I love the Pat McAfee show. I tune in every single day. I love the Pat McAfee Aaron Rodgers Tuesdays, and I used to not like him, but he did so much with the Barstool Fund, and he's the inside stories, and he was good on Jeopardy. I do not hate Aaron Rodgers. I do not on Sundays. I don't like him. I hate the Green Bay Packers, but I do not hate Aaron Rodgers. No.
Did you watch yesterday?
I did not watch. No, I did not see
the Aaron Rodgers interview. He was kind of dissing Jermichael Finley, because I think Jermichael Finley used to play there, and Jermichael Finley had some comments about him this offseason.
About him. Greg Jennings has been talking about him. All these guys, all these former receivers, and they never got anything nice to say. They're always like, oh, he threw a good ball. He was a great player, but they never, his personality, it's never like, oh, Aaron was such a good guy. I'd invite him over for Thanksgiving. It was always like like he was trying to get rid of me, or he was never super friendly, or he was distant, or he's got his guys he likes and the rest are, pound salt, I wonder what Jordan Love goes through, because obviously Jordan Love's not in a spot where he's going to come out and say, this guy's a real jerk. But maybe they're because he says, I love Jordan. But that's what you have to say. He's not going to say, screw this Jordan.
Yeah, he's not going to say, screw this dude. They made a mistake drafting him.
We'll know someday. We'll know, whether he has an interview with Grand Ben Singer, that guy who's always doing interviews with athletes, or sit down with someone that's not part of the NFL. Or part of one of those NFL shows like NFL Fox or any of that, someone that is like a third party will know more. But I would find it hard to believe that Jordan Love would ever go on, NFL Fox or CBS on NFL and have an interview with like Aaron Andrews and say, he was terrible to me. Now, if he was having an interview, I don't see a guy saying that about his mentor, but would say, obviously Aaron didn't want much to do with me. And I don't see them getting along much, but I also don't see him as a threat still. He's not a threat to Aaron.
I don't know if it was like this when the Packers drafted Aaron to replace Brett. Did all that come out about, Brett hating Aaron and Aaron being arrogant while that was all going on?
I guarantee, knowing Aaron Rodgers' personality, he probably got there day one and said, I am better than this guy. And you have to think that. I know that Brett Favre had an interview and said that it's not my job to mentor him. It's not my job to teach him, but I'm also not the guy that's going to push him away. Like if I'm watching film and he comes in, I'll show him stuff. And, but sitting on the bench for 3 years when you were supposed to be the number one pick in that draft and you're going to your childhood team, the 49ers, and you end up in a spot where they don't really need a quarterback yet. And you have to sit 3 years and you don't know when you're playing. That has to be so frustrating.
Was it 3 years?
I believe so. I believe he was drafted in 2005 and didn't play till 2008, 2009, somewhere around there. Maybe it was 2009. So, 3 years. 5, 6. I don't know. That would have to be looked up, but I believe he sat for 3 years.
Wow, that's insane. But back to Jordan Love, he's sitting behind like the perfect dude. Jordan Love has a big arm coming out. I think Utah State is where he came out of. Aaron Rodgers has a big arm, and he's super like kind of athletic. I know people kind of were comparing him to like a Patrick Mahomes, kind of a project when he was coming out. Yeah. I liked the pick.
I did not. I thought it was too soon. I thought they should have waited a year. This year, with all the quarterbacks coming out, I thought they should have waited a year. I thought if they were going to trade up for a quarterback, they might as well put more in and got a guy like Mac Jones or because someone that would fall a little bit. But hey, if Jordan Love ends up being a stud, like their third straight Hall of Fame quarterback in a row, I'll look stupid for saying it, but I don't think it was a great pick. I'm sure he'll be a fine quarterback. I don't think he's going to be the next Brett Favre or next Aaron Rodgers. He'll probably be their third best quarterback ever with my luck, but he won't be as good as Aaron. And he's a guy that needs a lot around him to be successful.
How old was Brett Favre?
37, 38.
36. 36.
Okay.
And how old is Aaron now? What, 30?
Aaron is like 37-ish, 36, 37.
So they're drafting him at the same time.
Around, yeah. Yep. Around there. And his 13th season as a starter. It was Brett's 13th season with the Packers. It's interesting how it's kind of that same time. I love how I know so much about the team I hate the most. But it's that same time. The only difference is Aaron fell in their lap. They traded up for Jordan Love. But, I mean, if he ends up being really good, you can't complain. You have to say, okay.
I saw some people mocking Jordan Love to go around 14 or 15 to the Colts that year he came out. So I think that Jordan Love should have gone sooner than that. I think the Saints should have taken him.
That would have been a good pick.
But I mean, would Packers fans have rather wanted a bust wide receiver to have been drafted or Jordan Love to be drafted?
a wide receiver 100% because they didn't see the need they still don't see the need for a new quarterback yet. The guy just won MVP last year. I know he struggled week 1, but he looked great last week. He looked like Aaron Rodgers. I think he went, 22 for 27 or something crazy like that. A couple touchdowns. No, I think they'd much rather have gotten a wide receiver that would have stunk, and they'd say, well, at least they got a wide receiver and, got Aaron a weapon. But I think that started the drama because there was tension for a long time when Mike McCarthy was there. And then they got Matt LaFleur, and it was the romance. Those two love each other and this and that, and it's great. And the NFC Championship back-to-back years, and embarrassing themselves on national TV against the 49ers and losing to the Buccaneers, and me loving it. But I wouldn't have drafted Jordan Love, and I think from what I've seen, he's a third-round talent. I know that sounds crazy because he was supposed to be a first-round pick. He's a second to third-round talent, and he's a guy that is definitely a project. He's in the best spot he could be in. I'll say that. Best
yeah, there's not. I don't think there's a better spot to be in. I don't think there is.
If he's not ready to play right away, I don't know if he's ready now. I'm not at practice every day, and I'm not following the Packers like a diehard fan does. But sitting a year around, being around a Hall of Fame quarterback and seeing how he does things and saying, okay, he's doing this, this, and this. I have to do this. And it's not like they have to put him out right away. Last year, he was their third-string quarterback. They had Tim Boyle at number 2. So if Aaron got hurt, they didn't have to worry about it. This year, he's their second quarterback because Tim Boyle is with Detroit. But the fact that he's in that spot and has no pressure right now, that's perfect.
I don't mean to sound like an idiot, but how often do you go to Bears practices? Maybe without.
I do not go at all. I go to Bill's stuff because I live in Western New York. I do not go to any Bears.
I thought you lived in New York. I didn't think you lived in Chicago.
Nope. I have friends that go to. It's been different because of COVID, but before I've had friends that would go to stuff, and I would say, hey, what was this like? And because of COVID, they've really just kept it strict to like the beat writers and stuff. So like the ESPN guys, the Chicago Sun-Time guys, the Athletic guys, stuff like that has been the guys that have been there. But when it was, especially maybe 2019, when there was, when they were still having open stuff, training camp and stuff. And I don't know how their training camp went this year. Because I wasn't in Chicago, so I didn't even worry about if it was open to the public or not. I believe some of it was, but not a lot. But anyways, I digress. But it was a lot more closed off the last 2 years because of COVID.
Do you go to Bears games? I mean, how many do you go to if you do?
If I were to go, I would meet them on the road somewhere. I would go, Cleveland. I'm not going this year, but I would go to Cleveland, Buffalo. Buffalo's tough though. Both Cleveland and Buffalo would be tough rooting against the home team. I wouldn't go all the way out to Chicago. I would if I was going on a trip, like a weekend trip, but something closer where I could go and not have to, like Buffalo. I go to Sabre games and to see the Blackhawks when they come in town, and so I'm yet to actually be at a Bears game, but I have been the best I've been is college football. And the best I've seen NFL-wise is Bill's training camp a couple times each year.
So how did you become a writer for the Bears Wire? I hate to turn this into like a kind of an interview, but
that's all right. So the head writer, Alyssa, I emailed her, and I was like, hey, the last year and a half I've been writing about the Blackhawks and a little bit about the Bears, and at the time I needed another writing gig. I parted ways with another place. Kind of my fault. That's neither here nor there. But I said, hey, I'm looking for something. She said, I sent her all my stuff, and she sent back saying, hey, yeah, we'd love to have you. And I got there. I have never felt more free as a writer. I'm not sliding. I've written 5, 6 different. I'm not trying to slide anyone. I feel really free here, and I feel like I can kind of be, give my opinions and also do news stuff. That's always what I want to do. And a lot of stuff was more opinionated. And here I can just, report more things. And that's what I like. And it's a great, great team, And then I obviously got very on Twitter, which was cool. It's ever happened to me in the sports world. But yeah, it's been fun. But, I was with a couple other sites and things didn't, not all of them lined up. And this one did. And this is something I've been doing for over a year now.
Okay. So, how long have you been writing about, Chicago sports?
I started with a site called Blackhawk Up. Great site. It was fun for the year and a half I was there. Started in about 2019, July 2019. Wrote with a good group of guys. It was fun. And then around, I became the editor of the site. Actually, that was pretty cool for a little bit. And then I got let go, which happens. And I made a couple errors. I didn't cite properly on a tweet, and so what happened was it blew up a little bit bigger than it probably should have, and that was my mistake. And I, at first took credit and didn't think I was going to lose my job for it, but yeah, there was a lot. There was a lot behind the scenes, and I don't want to, get into it and bash anyone because they were all good to me for a long time, but kind of burned some bridges. Maybe it shouldn't have, but I was a different guy a year ago. But it was fun. I had fun with them. It was cool being editor, but it's a lot cooler being back where I'm not the main person, where I don't have to edit for everyone, where I have an editor, where I have someone that I can go to and bounce ideas off of. So I really like what I'm doing now a lot better.
Yeah. Do you play much fantasy football?
I do. I'm in 2 leagues right now. I'm 2-0 in my main league. And I'm 1-1 in my other league. With a bunch of people I actually met on Twitter. I just got a group tweeted out, hey, who wants to play? Got 7 other people to play. I lost by like 0.1 point this week because Swift for the Lions didn't get me that extra point I needed. So I'm 1-1. But I'm just looking forward to the rematch with the guy that I lost
to. Nathan is like he always does super good in our fantasy league that we're in. He started off 0-2, and I don't know if he's watching this right now, but his team, I think personally, is kind of garbage. We did like a poll on the Twitter, and we asked which team was better, and his team won. And I told him we do another poll week 5.
Well, I'll vote for you. Because he didn't show up and you did.
Yeah.
He's a good man, but I got to see who's got the better team and the better record. Are you 2-0, 1-1? Where are you?
I'm 1-1 right now. I'm 1-1 right now. I lost by, I think, 3 points. TJ Hawkinson killed me on Monday night. I had a chance. I had Lamar.
Oof. I'm in a point per reception league, so the quarterback means so much more. So it's the points get pretty crazy. It gets like high 100, sometimes 200. The points get crazy.
Yeah, we play in mostly standard leagues, and most of our followers play in PPR. So it's kind of when people are asking us questions.
Right. Yeah, that's the thing is because I don't do a lot of fantasy stuff like on my accounts, but when people like ask me stuff, I get a lot of betting questions, not on Twitter, but from my friends, and they always want to know. And I'm like, well, you could try this, but I don't like giving advice, especially for betting, because if you lose money, then everyone's gonna be like, well, you thought you said you should bet for who? And I was like, well, I wasn't making the bet, I told you, this is who I think's gonna win, but there's nothing for sure. And I don't really like giving betting advice, but I would be fine giving, if anyone wanted to know fantasy stuff, I'd give you my best bet, but I don't like giving betting advice. I'll say that.
Yeah, I am not much of a betting advice man. I'm probably 20% or 30% on my bets. I don't know if that's why I don't know if I showed my bravado, but I got probably $15 in there right now because I've lost everything on Monday night on some player props and stuff.
I had a nice prop for the Rams game, and I had Andy Dalton over like 209 yards or something, and he was like 3 yards short. and it would have won me a decent chunk of change. I was so annoyed. I got everything else. I got David Montgomery over in the yards, over in carries, and then I had Andy Dalton like over in completions and over in the yards, and the completions were like 13. It was something crazy low, and I'm like, do you guys think he's not going to throw the ball at all? But I don't know if it was that, but it was low, and I was like, unbelievable, I'll take it. And then he just couldn't capitalize those last 3 yards for me.
Yeah, that's got to be so frustrating.
It is, because I'm watching the game and they've gotten blown out. I'm like, at least give me some money at this point, you know?
Yeah.
You've played terrible. The game is over. Just, you know, one more first down or something, and it got down to like 3rd and 7, and I was like, oh my God. I said he might get this here if he just, you know, even hits a check down, and he didn't, and you know, the Bears lost by 20, and I lost like $20. So both lost that night.
Yeah. I told Nathan I kind of bet for the other team the Bills are playing. He thinks this is like the stupidest thing ever. But I tell him I bet against, you know, I bet for the Dolphins, because usually it's gotten better now that the Bills are usually favorites in their games, and I can get some nice odds. And I'm like, if the Bills win, you know, the Bills win.
You're that guy.
If the Bills lose and the Dolphins win, then, you know, I win $200 because I put down 50.
So you're going to be like 4 for like 12 or 4 for like 13 this year if Buffalo does as well as I think they'll do.
Oh, and I am completely fine with that. I
Yeah,
might be
well, I
out.
hope you're not putting too much money. Jeez. I know people like that are like, okay, like if my team, and it's not a knock, it's, you know, whatever, if that's what you want to do. Like if in a Bears situation, you're going to make a lot of money this year. Hopefully not. Hopefully not. No, I have faith in my team no matter what. But if I didn't, I wouldn't watch the games.
I used to do this when the Bills sucked and, you know, win 6 or 7 games a year. And it was kind of like, you know, I'm winning money, but I'm not getting the odds because the Bills are usually, you know, Bills are usually underdogs. And now they've come out to favorites, so I can get some nice odds. But yeah, I get bashed for that by all my friends who come over and watch the games.
Yeah, that's the thing. Well, yeah, it's like, okay, my team lost, but I got some money. But it's like, well, you know, it's tough. I wouldn't say I'm addicted to betting, but I get in streaks where I'm doing really well. And then I get in streaks where I'm losing, and I'm so motivated when I'm losing to just keep on betting. And I take breaks. Right now I'm in a little bit of a break because I've lost a decent amount recently. So I'm in a little bit of a break right now, but I'll be back probably by week like 5. I love it. Right now I'm doing some CBS parlay pool where you pick 31 games. I'm doing it with a couple people I met recently. And that's kind of like the betting I'm doing right now. We all put $5 in and the winner gets all of it. So it's been fun. I won last week, so that's why it's fun.
Yeah. And while you're on top, it's fun. But
when I start giving out $5 each week, I'm not going to feel as good. But
I'm more of a college football bettor over NFL.
Yeah, I think it's a lot easier to pick.
In NFL, I usually do player props. And, you know, I usually suck in that.
I've noticed I'm way more successful with player props. I've noticed that. And again, if Andy Dalton would have got 3 more yards, I would have a lot more money right now in the account. But I'm with my bookie. You do Bovada, you said?
I do. Yeah, I do Bovada or Bovada. I don't know how to pronounce it.
I don't know. I don't use it, so I don't know how to pronounce it. I know I have friends that used it, and so I got into my bookie a couple years ago. Now I've been betting on and off for a couple years ago, but I always take breaks because it's not even like it's like I'm losing money break. It's just so I'm not like every day checking my account. Oh, you know, who am I betting today? So I take breaks and then go back, you know.
Yeah, during the off season, I'll bet on some golf and stuff. But you know, I'm not really, you know, too addicted to it. I just throw some money here and there.
You're just betting on Korean baseball and stuff. Just kidding. No, I'm just betting. No, yeah, you know, if you're a golf guy and you know what's going on, for sure. Me, I'm not a golf guy.
I'm not a golf guy. I'll go to like CBS Sports and search up best bets for the PGA Tour or whatever, or the PGA Championship.
I don't even know how golf betting works. I don't know if you only pick a winner, if you pick the over under. I don't know how to work betting.
You could pick some stuff, and I actually won like $300 by putting down like 5 on this dude who won. May have been the Masters, or the last major they had, or something like that. I said, you know what? I'll take my money. I'm done. I'm no more betting on golf. I got lucky because I'm like 1 for 7.
I used to bet on the Kentucky Derby, and oh my god, I put like $100 on game winner a couple years ago because QB1 said so, and on the Bears Twitter saying I'm going with game winner. So all these Bears fans were tweeting, "No, I'll go with him too." And I'm like, I'll just throw $100 on it because he wasn't like the favorite, and it was just bad. I think he finished like 7th or something. And I was like, oh my god! I said, "There's no way I just put $100 on a guy that finished, or a course that finished 7th." Because I believe it was 2019, and I tend to bet on the Kentucky Derby, but now I'm putting like $10. I'm not trying to put anything crazy on these guys. And then there's people like Floyd Mayweather who put $10K on random stuff, and I'm like, oh, I lost 100. I feel terrible.
Yeah, sick to my stomach. But
yeah, I'm like,
I think that's it. We've gone through all kinds of stuff.
We did. We had a personal interview. We talked about Chicago sports. We talked about Josh Allen. We got it going, and
we did about everything except what the title was, and that was week 3 preview. I guess I'll have to change that title.
Yeah, I'll give you my lock of the week. It's the Titans over the Colts. There's my lock of the week because it's right there. So there's my lock of the week.
You said you're not betting this week.
Yes. Well, the lock for whoever's watching, lock of the week. I don't know what the minus is. What does it say? 5.5?
Yeah, 5.5.
Take your minus 5.5. Carson Wentz isn't playing. Titans by $1 billion. There we go.
You heard it there. You heard it there. Lock of the week from Ryan Fedrau. Ryan, we got to start having you on every week, and talk about that.
Fridays. I don't know. We'll do something. We'll figure it out. I was thinking about
Fedrau Wednesdays. That's what it is.
Sure. Yeah, for sure, man. All right, we'll keep in touch. Thank you for having me on. I hope everyone has a good night.
All